What's up, everyone? Joseph Parker here, and you're watching Boxing Social.
Marc Gatford here for Boxing Social, direct from Vegas. We are joined by Kevin Barry, trainer of former heavyweight champion Joe Parker. Kevin, how are you keeping today?
Mark, I'm very well, and thank you very much for having me on Boxing Social.
No problem at all. Happy to have you. Let's start with Dillian Whyte. The announcement earlier this month caught most off guard, particularly top ranks Bob Arum, who believe a deal had already been struck for Joe to fight his man Brian Jennings. Can you explain why we're seeing Parker Whyte and not Parker Jennings?
Well, I'll tell you what, we looked long and hard at the Brian Jennings fight. I also, at the same time, was looking hard at Alexander Usanov to bring to New Zealand. But when you mention Jennings, the thing about the Jennings fight is, the deal kept changing for us, and when the deal kept changing, I started to like that fight less and less by the day. And I believe the reason why we were able to put this fight together with Dillian Whyte, because I think when they looked at the Pulev fight when they lost the purse bid and they were going to go to Bulgaria, I think they were beginning to like that fight less as well. So it was one of those opportunities that came along. It was a great piece of business, and it was put together in 3 days. And I tell you what, when you looked at, it took us 3 months to put the Anthony Joshua fight together, and it took David Higgins and Eddie Hearn 3 days to put this. So I think it's because of the solid relationship that we had built with Matchroom and with Adam Smith and the team at Sky that we're able to put this fight together quickly.
Exactly how long is Joe's camp for this fight then? And would you liked more preparation time? Or because, by the way, I estimate it's around 7 weeks, is that right?
The total from Joe leaving London, announcing the fight with Dillian, and more or less to the fight day was 7 weeks, which is, hey, I would have loved another couple of weeks.
Yeah.
But the great thing for me, Mark, is that after we signed the Joshua fight, we had just under 11 weeks, and Joseph Parker came back to Las Vegas weighing 120 kilograms. When he arrived back to me after signing the fight with Dillian Whyte, he was 110 kilograms. So that 7-week camp became more viable. Hey, I would have loved another couple of weeks, but this opportunity presented itself. It's a very exciting fight. It's a very dangerous fight for Joseph Parker, and it's also a very dangerous fight for Dillian Whyte. Both guys potentially have millions of dollars on the line in this fight.
Oh, absolutely. Dillian impressed last time out, stopping an albeit sluggish Lucas Brown. What kind of problems does Dillian pose for Joseph, do you think?
Look, we have a lot of respect for Dillian Whyte. Here's a guy who has earned his stripes. Very powerful, very strong guy. He's a good puncher. He goes to the body well. He brings a lot of pressure. He's very durable, and I think he's the sort of guy that would prefer to fight you in a phone booth than fight you in a boxing ring. It's a guy that we know is going to be a very, very big challenge for Joe, and a style that I think will bring out the best in Joseph Parker.
Do you think that style was more suited to Joseph Parker than, say, Anthony Joshua? Because just sort of from my point of view, the sheer size of Joshua seemed to be a problem for Joe when they met in Cardiff. In terms of closing the gap and putting the shots together, I think that Joe and Dillian are around the same height. It presumably makes Dillian a sort of physically easier proposition than Joshua?
Well,
and stylistically, perhaps.
Yeah, look, I tell you what, stylistically, I think it's a far better matchup. You've got two guys who are similar in height, similar in reach. Dillian likes to throw the left hook. He likes to hook to the body. He's a guy who likes to engage. Joseph Parker's more of a boxer. This is a fighter-boxer style matchup. And I think we've got two guys who have so much to lose and so much to gain in this fight. And I think we'll get the best of both guys. And I tell you what, as a boxing fan, first and foremost, when I look at this fight, and a lot of people have said this to me after we made it, they said this on paper is a very, very exciting matchup.
Absolutely. And just touching on the Joshua fight, looking back now, how do you reflect on it? Joe mentioned when I spoke to him yesterday that he felt he didn't necessarily leave it all in that Welsh ring.
Look, I tell you what, there were some really good things that came from that fight, and there were other things that I know Joe can improve on, and as a team we can improve on. I thought Joe's movement that we'd worked on very hard in training camp was excellent in the fight. I think Joe's defense was very, very solid in the fight. I think Joe definitely had the respect of Joshua on a number of fronts. The fact that, he came in 6 kilograms lighter showed how much he did respect Joe. The fact that we know Joshua has a cannon in his right hand. He never threw the right hand. He didn't want to engage with Joseph Parker. And I think he realized early that this guy was going to be around. So, he wasn't going to blast him out in a few rounds. And because of that, we saw Joshua a lot more patient. I think we saw him working off the jab more than what he had in other fights. And, because of that, I think we got a lot of respect. I also think that, and I know that, for Joseph Parker, a guy who had made his name coming forward, letting his fast combinations go, blasting guys out, throwing combinations, our offense just really wasn't there on the night. The movement was good, the defense was good. We just needed more punches. And I think if our work rate is similar against Dillian Whyte, it's going to be a very, very difficult fight to win.
Yeah, sure.
So obviously, we're working on a much busier Joseph Parker in this fight. Joe must put on display those combinations that took him all the way to winning the world title.
Sure.
So, as I mentioned, the offense has been dormant. We need to wake it up in this fight.
There's also a lot of criticism for the ref as well, sort of interfering and not allowing them to go to work on the inside. How big a factor do you think the ref was?
Well, I think the referee had far bigger of a effect on the fight than any referee should. And a fight that is one of the biggest fights in the world this year, a fight that was the first unification fight in the heavyweight division for 8 years, you would have thought that fight would have warranted having one of the very top referees in the world taking control of it. And the referee really was very disappointing. Look, would have it changed the outcome? I don't know. Maybe not. But I can promise you this, it would have been a far more exciting fight for the 80,000 people in attendance and the fans watching it around the world than what it was.
This will be Joe's third fight over, having fought Fury, Joshua, and now obviously Dillian Whyte. Have you boys considered moving over to this side of the pond on a permanent basis?
Well, no, not on a permanent. We've got a new gym that we opened about 6 months ago. It's 3 minutes from my house where Joe lives. So we're pretty happy and pretty settled. Joe loves the heat in Las Vegas.
Yeah.
But the fact that we are spending a lot of time there. This is we love the fans in the UK, and I think for us more than anything else, the very most important thing in this fight is the commercial viability. Joe must have a big performance here. We had a bit of a lackluster win against Fury. The offense didn't really feature against Joshua. If we're going to continue doing business and big business in the UK, Joe must be exciting here, and he must come with the style that people want to see him get back in the ring again. Absolutely.
Kevin, just want to touch on the heavyweight division as it is at the moment. We saw the return of Tyson Fury this month. It was quite difficult to take anything from his comeback fight. I don't know if you did you catch the fight?
No, I didn't, mate. I saw the highlights, but I'll watch him when he's in against a real opponent. Obviously, we didn't expect too much first fight up, and I think it's going to take him. I'm being realistic. I think 3 or 4 fights before he's ready to fight any of the top guys. I know, Tyson wants what he's talking about, getting in the ring with Wilder and Joshua and everyone now, but he needs a little bit more time.
Sure. And there's been sort of It's taken a long time to put the Joshua Wilder fight together. There's back and forth, various things going on. Do you think that fight is going to get made?
Look, I think it's going to get made. Do I think it's going to get made this year? No, I don't. I think that, and I think it's designed that way. And I think that Eddie Hearn, the Matchroom, and Anthony Joshua, they're trying to give themselves every opportunity to be successful when that fight does take place. You look at Wilder; he's an experienced guy. He's got 40 fights behind him. Very powerful. He's got the most powerful hands in the heavyweight division. A guy that you can't afford to make mistakes with. And I think we saw Anthony Joshua's skill level rise up a couple of pegs in that last fight with Joseph Parker. And I think if he keeps improving and developing, he'll give himself the best chance to be successful when the fight does happen. But look, at the moment it looks like Joshua and Povetkin are going to fight. It looks like Wilder's going to fight Brazil, and then maybe in the summer next year the fight will happen.
If you're a betting man, where would you put your money? Would it be with Anthony Joshua or Deontay Wilder?
Right at the moment, I think Deontay Wilder is the hardest guy to beat in the division. For the sheer fact that he has that equalizing one-punch knockout power that he can, and he showed time and time again in fights where he'll give away the first 3 or 4 rounds just having a look at the opening, and when he hits you, it's all over. So for me, he ticks all the boxes at the moment. He's what every heavyweight wants, that one-punch knockout power. He's got the height, he's got the reach. It's going to be a great fight when the two of them fight.
Absolutely. Kevin, I really appreciate you giving some time to Boxing Social today, and best of luck to yourself and Joe on July 28th. And yeah, hopefully we can catch up when you're over on this side of the pond. Thanks for your time.
Marc, my pleasure.